recording. There's that. And there's that. I am going to skip, and I'll take the homework out, so please don't work on it. 5.4 and 5.7. And something is wrong with my whiteboard projector. There it goes. 5.4, 5.7. So don't do 5.4 and 5.7. If you notice, I said don't do 5.4 and 5.7 about 4 or 5 times now. Anybody know why I've said it 4 or 5 times? Because somebody's going to say they didn't hear me say it. So, no 5.4 and 5.7. Please take that out of your outline. I hope I've said it enough times now. All right. 5.4 and 5.7. Well, I think I'll just do it with the whiteboard. 4.1 and 4.2 is going to be talking about several things. And I never write in red. Somebody done took my black marker. Hold on. 4.1 and 4.2 talks about two things, so several things. One, scatterplot. Two, line of best fit or line of regression. Correlation and causality. And slope. That's the 4 things that are talked about in 4.1 and 4.2. Now, some of you are familiar. Some of you even invented some of these things, okay? Or thought or think you did. But they're really kind of, not rocket science, especially that last one, because y'all have been dealing with that last one for the last couple of years in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. So I'm going to spend most of my time on these scatter plots. Okay? Now, the good thing is, on the test, I'm going to test you on technology and by hand. Now, the good thing is, the only thing I'm going to test you on by hand is the slope and the equation. Sorry, forgot to add that. So in 4.1 and 4.2, I'm only going to test you on, doing things by hand with the slope and the equation. More, all of this is going to be by technology. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into scatter plots and line of regression and all that. And this is going to be a pretty quick section, 4.1 and 4.2. Again, because technology, and you already know how to do this. So technology, and you already know how to do some stuff. This 4.1 and 4.2 are going to go by pretty quick. All right. So let's go to the Excel spreadsheet. And I want you to type in these numbers, and you do it with your Excel spreadsheet and your handy dandy calculator. So I want you to type in your calculator and your Excel spreadsheet if you have it handy. If you don't, just use your calculator or vice versa. I want you to learn both. Okay? So with the calculator, I'll punch them in, and I'm just going to make up one. So let me clear this. So stat, edit, and let's punch in some numbers. Let's go with 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 15. Punch those in your calculator or your Excel spreadsheet. And here we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 8, 7, 4, 8, 9, 10, and 5. All right, everybody got those in your calculator? All right, well, I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until y'all get done because I care. Well, I'm glad to see some people can smile. Others of y'all look like y'all weaned on a pickle. Weaned on a pickle. It's an old saying that means you look like scrunch face, resting bitch face. Okay? It's an old-timey way of saying resting bitch face. This is what y'all look like. Can you imagine how a class looks when you got 4 or 5 people looking like this? And of course, there's foreheads. Foreheads don't count because, you know, foreheads are foreheads. Right, Miss Ferguson? She's not listening. She's got a mannequin in front of her camera. She's laying down sleeping. I'm glad these people that are smiling and laughing, I'm glad you're at home because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be weaned on pickle. All right, so what do you do next? Well, you hit stat. Well, you hit second, y is equal. Click the enter button to enter that number 1. Hit enter to turn it on. It is already defaulted. Make sure you write this down. The calculator automatically defaults to a scatterplot, L1, and L2. Everybody with me? It automatically does that. So all you got to do is hit graph. And there is your scatter plot. Now, some of you have just learned how to do this. Some of y'all invented the calculator. So I'm not going to argue with those that think they invented the calculator. But if you want to hit stat, zoom, stat, number 9, it'll blow up the first quadrant for you. Everybody with me? Write that down. Zoom 9. Zoom 9 will usually blow up the first quadrant for you because most of your scatter plots are going to be in the first quadrant because statistics, we like to deal with the first quadrant because that means everything is positive. Everybody got that? Even the foreheads? We're going to get a t-shirt made. I'm in the forehead club. We got about 6 foreheads in this class. Okay. I'll join the forehead club. The only difference is I've got perfect hair and you don't. All right. So now we got to find the best fit line. Good gosh, how do we do that? Well, let's go to Stat, Calculate, and Linear Regression. Write that down, linear regression. Hit enter. It automatically defaults to L1 and L2. I usually take that frequency list off and calculate. So, of course, I don't know why they do this. I don't really care too much for it. But you learn that y is equal to mx plus b. You learn that all your life in school. And then you get to statistics because some guy wanted things to look important. So he changed y is equal to mx plus b. He changed it to y is equal to ax plus b. And nobody recognizes that. So you just need to remember y is equal to mx plus b. And that first letter, that a, just make sure you put that right there, okay? So y is equal to 0.123 ... x plus 4.2127 ... And there is your line of regression that's going to be going through those points. Now we're going to type it in. Go to y is equal and type in 0.123 x. Sorry. Well, I guess I might as well just quit. 0.123. I got to remember to use the calculator, not the keyboard. 123x plus 4.2127 and graph. And there is your line of regression. Everybody see it? Now, I didn't notice something. Hold on a second. I don't know. It should have, let's see, stat, calculate, linear regression, and calculate. Does everybody notice what else it gave you? It also gave you r squared and r. R squared is really not important. But R is. This is called the correlation coefficient. That's called the correlation coefficient. Write that down because that's going to be a test question. All this on this page right here is going to be a test question. Correlation coefficient. Can anybody tell me what the correlation coefficient says? What is it? Anybody want to take a stab at it? The correlation coefficient is a number between -1 and +1. it relates to the slope meaning that if your slope is positive, your correlation coefficient is going to be positive. If your slope is negative, your correlation coefficient is going to be negative. That's a test question right here. This right here is one test question out of about 5. That right there is a test question. How does the slope relate to the correlation coefficient? And there's your answer. If the slope is positive, the correlation coefficient will be positive. If the slope is negative, the correlation coefficient will be negative. Now, the closer you are to -1 and +1, the stronger the correlation. And we're going to talk about correlation here in just a minute. That's a pretty kitty cat. Kitty cats do not have to know math in order to come into my class. All right? So the closer the closer the number is to -1 and +1, the stronger the coefficient. The stronger the correlation. So do we have a strong correlation here? No. It's like 0.22 out of 100%. Okay? So think of this as 100%. And think of this as -100%. And right now we're dealing with 22%. So it's not a strong correlation. All right, so that's how you do it with the calculator. Let's do it with the handy dandy Excel spreadsheet. So pull up my Excel spreadsheet. Make it small so I can pull up the calculator. And I'm trying to get everything on here. Just hold on a minute. Edit. And we're going to make this small. There we go. 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, and 15. Two, 3, 4, 8, 7, 4, 8, 9, 1, 5. Now, I like using an Excel spreadsheet because you can actually do a little bit more with it, and you got a little bit more freedom. So, first of all, let me go through and do this. There we go. There's our X and our Y, so I'm going to highlight both sets of numbers. I'm going to go to Insert. And I'm going to go to Scatterplot. And there is our Scatterplot. I'm going to make it big so everybody can see what I'm doing here next. So there's your Scatterplot. And the good thing about the Excel spreadsheet is it'll do everything for you in like one thing. So right click on one of the dots, go to Add Trend Line, and then make sure it's linear because most of these are going to be linear. And go down to Display and Display. And there is your equation and r squared, and of course you got to take the square root of r squared. So somebody take the square root of 0.0497. So 0.0497. 0.0497 raised to the 0.5 power. 0.2229, just like we had on the other in your calculator. So there is the same thing that we got. One, 2, 3x, 1, 2, 3x, and 4.2127, 4.2127. Or 28 rounds up. And you can probably make that go a little bit further by, I don't know. I really don't know how to, I guess you could. I really don't know how to do it. It just does it to 4 digits. I don't know how to fix it to do more digits. Unless you actually can go into the, which I'm going into right now. I don't see anywhere you could set it in here. So I guess that's just it. You're just going to do it to 4 digits. Okay? Question, gripe, complaint. Now, what is causality and correlation? Can anybody tell me what either one of those are? Anybody? Well, I'm going to give you the Hubertism definition. Okay? The Hubertism definition is correlation is a pattern of slope. Do you see a pattern of slope? You either have a very strong correlation, whether it's positive or negative, meaning it's close to 1 or negative 1. You either have a weak correlation, meaning around 0.22 or negative 0.22, or you have no correlation, which means a slope of 0. No correlation. So correlation is a pattern of slope. Do you see a pattern? And sometimes they will give you a bunch of dots, like a scatter plot. And you have to say, well, there's a little pattern there. It looks like this. So sometimes they'll give you a bunch of dots, and you have to say, is there a pattern? Is all of these test questions? Yes. This is a test question. This is a test question. This is a test question. And this is a test question. And I think you see that I do put what I say on the test, don't I? And I do not try to pull punches, do I? I even take questions off when I think they're stupid. Then if correlation is a pattern of slope, can anybody tell me what causality is? From the Matrix. Actually, the second Matrix movie, which I doubt any of you seen because it's not a Marvel comic or an animated movie, so I doubt any of you have seen it. I drink too much wine. I have to pee. Now, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about because you've never seen the movie. But there's a scene in the movie where I used to show it, but some people couldn't handle it. When I showed them a movie, they'd start talking, and of course the dumbasses would botch it up. So I don't show the movie anymore. That's what dumbasses do. They botch up things. And you think the DA syndrome is going to stop with high school? Oh, hell no. It goes into your work world, your career. Will you have DAs in your office? Yep. And they will ruin it for the rest of you, for the rest of the people in the office. But anyway, I used to show this clip. Does anybody know the Matrix in movies? Anybody? Like I said, I doubt it. It's not animated. So they walk into this restaurant and they talk to the owner of the restaurant, and he's got a French accent. And he goes, I know why you are here. Causality. I drink too much wine. I have to pee. What is that? Does anybody have a short definition for causality? Anybody?
Cause and effect.
Oh my gosh, you actually saw the movie, didn't you?
No.
Cause and effect. There's actually a song that talks about cause and effect. Forget it. Just forget it. Cause and effect. Let me ask you a question for those that are listening and not talking while I'm talking. If you work at a movie theater and you see that ticket prices are going up for a certain movie, let's say the ticket prices for a Nicolas Cage movie. And then you go over to the hospital and you look for the suicide rates for this same week. And it looks like this. Does that mean that Nicolas Cage movies cause suicides? Nobody's going to even say anything. I'm opening it up right there, and nobody's going to say a word. Oh, I hope y'all grow out of this crap. Anyway, no. Even though some people might think Nicolas Cage movies causes suicides, it doesn't. There's no cause and effect here. So there might be correlation. This is a correlation. R is equal to 0.9 and R is equal to 0.87. There's correlation, but what about causality? Does one cause the other? Yes or no? Thank you, Miss Landreth. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, causality naturally causes correlation. But does correlation necessarily mean causality? Yes or no?
No.
Not necessarily. So I'm gonna kind of draw a wiggly line with an arrowhead, because not all the time does correlation mean causality. Let me ask you a question. Let's say that you go to the beach by yourself and you drive your car by yourself to the beach and you get 32 miles per gallon. One person with luggage to the beach. What if you pile in 6 people and all their luggage in your car? Six people go to the beach in your car. Is your gas mileage going to go up or down? It's going to go down to 20 miles per hour. Cause and effect? Yes. This is causality. I drink too much wine, I have to pee. I load the car up with people and luggage, my gas mileage is going to suck. Cause and effect. I know, you tired of the forehead yet? Cause and effect. You got 2 test questions right here. 3, really. Here's one test question. Does causality mean correlation? Yes. Does correlation mean causality? No, not necessarily. Because Nicolas Cage movies may have correlation, but they do not cause suicides. Okay? So just because you have correlation does not mean you have causality. Causality is based on common what? Sense. Causality is based on common sense. Can one cause the other? Okay? I'm trying to think of another causality example, but I don't want to get into that because somebody might get offended, so I better not do that. All right. Now, what does this have to do with? It has everything to do with that. Okay, I'm showing you all these questions. I've at least shown you at least 7 or 8 test questions. Now, what about the last? Slope. Delta y over delta x, which means the change in y over the change in what? X, which means parenthesis minus parenthesis over parenthesis minus parenthesis. Now, some people are too sophisticated to use the parentheses, but they get the problem wrong when I put in when I get in. Is everybody listening? Y'all do remember being professional. All right. Some people do not need the parentheses, but when I throw a fraction or a positive or negative in there, they start crying when they get it wrong. My suggestion, use the parentheses. Swallow the pride and use the parentheses. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. This is how you find the equation. Find an equation. This will usually be in the directions. So, give you that so you can remember that, and we will do a problem on the next page. So, everybody got those 2 written down? All right. So, let's go with something simple. 2, 4, 7, and 8. All right, I want you to find the equation for that line. Find the equation for that line. I'm going to give you a minute. I've got to get something to drink. You know, with all the advancement of technology, why can't they fix an ice maker that can't spit out the last piece of ice on the floor? My cats love to play with the ice that falls on the floor, so they're playing with it right now. The myth that cats hate water, it's a myth. Some cats love water, but most cats hate it. I will say most cats. I've got one cat, he's playing with it right now. He will play in the water when you pour new water in the dish. He'll play in it. He'll take his paw and he'll play in it. And he's right now playing with that ice cube. But the other cats won't touch it. There he goes. So, which way do we read? Yawn is not an answer. Which way do we read?
Left to right.
Left to right, unless you're from the Middle East. Allah Akbar Masalama. Actually, I said that one time, and this is no joke. One of my students went to my department head and said that I was making fun of Middle Eastern people. So my department head said, "What did he say?" And the person said to my department head, "I have no idea what he said." And then my department head went, "Well, how do you know he was making fun of Middle Eastern people?" He was just making fun of Middle Eastern people. So anyway, before you go off to my department head, I just said, God is good, go in peace. That's what I just said. United States of buttercups and pansies. X of 1, Y sub 1, X of 2, Y sub 2. And M is equal to parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. 8 minus 4, 7 minus 2. 8 minus 4 is what? 4. 7 minus 2 is 5. So M is equal to 4/5. 2 comma 4. M is equal to 4/5. Y minus Y sub 1 is equal to M times X minus X sub 1. Y minus parentheses is equal to parentheses times X minus parentheses. Does anybody know why I picked 2 and 4? Why didn't I pick 7 and 8? That means I want somebody to say something. Why did I pick 2 and 4? Why didn't I pick 7 and 8? Well, if y'all can talk to each other, y'all can talk to me. So I'm just going to sit here and wait until somebody answers the question, because I know somebody knows it. Because I could have picked either one. Why did I pick 2 and 4?
Because they were X1 and Y1?
Yeah, you could say that. Or you could say I picked it because it's what? KISS method. What's the KISS method? Keep it simple. Use small numbers. So I picked 2 and 4. Could I have picked 7 and 8? You could have. But it's larger numbers. And you'll see that here in just a second when I give you negatives and fractions. You'll see. Because a lot of people are going to get this one right. And then when I put a negative or a fraction in there, their head will explode. So y minus 4 is equal to 4/5 times x minus 2. Y minus 4 is equal to 4/5 x minus 8/5. Bring the 25ths over. And y is equal to 4/5 x plus 12/5. And that is the equation for this line that goes through 2 and 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7 and 8. That line right there, that's the equation for that line. Sorry. All right, so let's do one that not everybody's going to get right. Let's go with -2, +4, -6, and -8. All right, I'm going to give y'all a minute to do that one. Oh, Blackboard is back up. Hope nobody had anything to you in that last hour. I had somebody send me a question. I just don't understand the last section that they're talking about, 3.5. And I sent them an email back and I said, well, I didn't see any questions that you sent. And they haven't replied back. Why are you going to send me an email that says I don't understand the last section and you don't send me any questions? What am I supposed to do with I don't understand the last section? What am I supposed to do with that? X sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. M is equal to delta y over delta x, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. So get your erasers ready, because some of y'all ain't going to get this one right. So -8, 4, -6, -2, -12, -6 plus 2 is -4, and your answer is 3. Go ahead and erase your whatever you got, -4 or 4/3 or 3/4 or whatever, and that is your slope. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. Y minus 4 is equal to 3x plus 6. And y is equal to 3x plus 10.
You have a work email.
Oh, somebody's already bitching about something. Okay. Now let's do a fraction, because I know half of y'all can't read a tape measure. So let's go ahead and do a fraction. (1/2), 1/3, (-1/2), and (-5/4). Does anybody know what I'm going to do before I even get started? Anybody? The easiest way to deal with fractions is to have a common what?
Denominator.
Common denominator. So I'm going to make sure I have a common denominator. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and sometimes 13. 2, that's a 1, 3, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. So our common denominator is 12. I'm going to make a 12 out of everything. So 2 will go into 12 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6. 3 will go into 12 4 times 1 is 4. 2 will go into 12 6. And 4 will go in there 15. So this is x sub 1, y sub 1. This is x sub 2, y sub 2. M is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Negative 15 over 12, 4 over 12, negative 6 over 12, and 6 over 12. Negative 19 over 12 divided by negative 12 over 12. And multiply by the reciprocal, which is not going to make a difference here. And those cancel. And these cancel. I got 19 over 12. What'd y'all get? Some of y'all didn't even finish. So M is equal to 19 twelfths. And I'm going to pick 1/2 and 1/3, which is 6 twelfths and 4 twelfths. So I go to the next page. M is equal to 19 twelfths, and I'm going to use 6 twelfths and 4 twelfths. Y minus 4 twelfths is equal to 19 twelfths times X minus 6 twelfths. Y minus 4 twelfths is equal to 19 twelfths X minus 6 times 19 over 144. And 6 times 19 is, God, that's 144, isn't it? I'll never do that to me. No, it can't be. 6 times 19, 6 times 20 is 120. So minus 6 is 114. Somebody check my math, please. Y minus 4 over 12 is equal to 19 twelfths X minus 114 over 144. Everybody with me? Is that 6 times 19? Somebody check, see if it's 114, please. Thank you. And then bring the, let's see, 12 times 4 is 48. So that's going to be plus 48 over 144. So Y is equal to 19 twelfths X. And I have no idea. Let's see, 14, that'll be a 6. And 10 minus 4 is 6. Somebody check me, I believe. And you can reduce that down. I'm not going to worry about that. Just check my math to make sure it's 66, please. Okay. If you can do that, you can handle anything I give you on the test as far as 4.1 and 4.2. So, we went over the scatter plot. We went over how to do a scatter plot on the TI, on the calculator, and the spreadsheet. Line of regression, we did that with the calculator and the spreadsheet. Causality and correlation, we discussed that. And we discussed slope and equations. Question, gripe, complaint. Now, I'm going to end class on that note because I don't want to move forward until we finish 4.1 and 4.2, and I've covered it, so I'm not going to waste your time by just going over stuff that we don't need to go over. I want to start Thursday or Tuesday with Chapter 5 after you send me questions on 4.1 and 4.2. Now, I could do 2 or 3 problems, but I feel like it'd be wasting your time because most of you understand what I'm talking about right now. okay, because you've seen at least the slope and the equations before, and this stuff right here is done on the calculator or the spreadsheet. So I'm going to kind of not insult your intelligence by going over some easy questions. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, then what your assignment is today is to start 4.1 and 4.2 homework, to have it finished, all except for questions that you have sent me. Okay, so let me write that down because I want everybody to understand it. Your homework for this weekend is to complete 4.1 and 4.2 homework, except for those questions that you send me. And therefore, you send me. So what will happen Tuesday? Either I'll be going over 4.1 and 4.2 questions, then start chapter 5, or I'll be what? Starting chapter 5, depending on how many questions you send me. Everybody with me? And that's how things will be going now that we're finished with the definitions and I'm going to go over 1 or 2 sections a day, and then you're going to tell me what I need to go over in the next class. Who is missing today? There's only one person missing. Can somebody tell me who that is, last name? Okay. I'm sorry, who?
I think it's Deanna Woodson. Her Chromebook is messed up.
Okay. She not? Okay. Chromebook? Okay. All right. Well, then in that case, I'll just let everybody go and I'll just do the roll after y'all leave. Okay? Who's got questions? Anybody got questions? All right. 4.1, 4.2. Have a good weekend. I'll see y'all Tuesday.